Hey everyone, this is Modest Millions, and today I'm going to be covering how you can get started making millions on farm transmog, some add-ons that you need before you get started, the mindset that you should have when you're farming and selling transmog, as well as some of my favorite starter farms. And if you haven't already, make sure that you join the Discord and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming gold guides, and let's go. Alright, so let's start out by talking about some of the basics and talk add-ons and essentials when farming transmogs. So I think that the main things that you need are All the Things and Trade Skill Master. Now, Trade Skill Master is great for letting you set up your own transmog groups and separating the items out based on price. You want to be able to have different posting operations for different levels of transmog. And of course, you're going to be more laid back and squeezing every penny out of those big ticket items, and then much more aggressive with the lower items. And then you have All the Things. This add-on is absolutely essential for transmog farming for culling out certain items. This shows you your specific item and how many items share that exact appearance. This is used when you have low-end transmog that may have a lot of different items that share the same appearance, and you may be better off vendoring this item. But then you will have some items that you can see with All the Things that is the only way that you get that appearance. And normally those are much better items to hold on to for people looking to complete transmog collections. A lot of the people that use All the Things are collectors and trying to collect everything in the game. So using the same add-on that they are using to find those items to then use to sell the items to them is an amazing strategy and way to use this tool. And now that we have the two basic add-ons covered, let's get into the main topic, and that is the mindset that you should have when you're going into farming transmog and how to become more successful in this area. So obviously, if you're watching this, you want to get into selling transmogs and you're looking at where to start. And I think the first thing that you need to address is your mindset when you're going into selling transmogs. You need to understand that first of all, transmogs should never be your primary source of income. Unless you're on some secret server where you're making 200k a day on your farm transmogs and sell everything within hours, then you need to understand that farm transmog is additional gold income. Sometimes you may farm something and it takes a day or two to sell, and the next time you farm that item, you may get the exact same thing, but it takes 6 months to sell. And that's okay, because that's how the transmog market is. It's all about consistency and having as many items as you can on the auction house at all times from all different expansions, looks, and armor types. The next thing that I hear a lot of people have either questions or worry about is the time invested into managing the listings, because most people would agree that a solid number of transmogs, if you're being serious, to have up on the auction house at one time is 2,000 or more, because that's when you're really going to start seeing that sweet consistent sales. And look, I have accounts that I've been running since BFA that have had a solid 4k or more transmog items running on them at 48-hour postings. And it's never taken me more than 30 minutes to post all 4k items, so the time invested is minimal. And this is why it is so important to have a good TSM setup, because this is the part that's going to make that streamlined for you. You can literally just sit there, scroll your mouse wheel, and post mass amounts of items. So as long as you're going into transmog farming knowing that it is a long-term investment, then you're going to be extremely successful in your market. And here's why. So time for a numbers breakdown and all the fun stuff. So let's use a 6-month example and show you what happens. So we're going to talk about two hypothetical goblins. The first goblin that we're going to talk about is if someone plays the game for 2 hours a day and their main focus is gold making. Say over the course of 6 months, they are a very consistent goblin and they never miss a day of 2 hours worth of skinning and meat farms. And they're consistently bringing in 30k per hour. That means that they're bringing in 60k per day, 420k per week, 1.6 mil in a month, and 10 mil in 6 months if they never miss a day. But remember, they never missed a day. But 10 mil in 6 months for most people is a stupid amount of gold. Why wouldn't you just stick with that? So now let's talk about Goblin number 2. Goblin number 2 is also a consistent goblin, never misses a day of 2 hours of farming. They spend 1 hour farming only the best Shadowlands meat and skin farms, making 30k for that first hour, and then the next hour they spend doing old world transmog farms. Now, majority of old transmog farms, even if you don't get a big ticket item, are giving you consistently 150 to 200k in historical price per hour. But don't worry, we'll talk about some of my favorite spots at the end. So now you have to split up the raw gold from the skinning and meats from the transmogs. So from the skinning and meat, you're looking at 30k per day, 210k per week, 840k per month, and 5 mil in 6 months. Now that's obviously going to be half because you only did an hour instead of 2. But now let's look at the transmog. So like I said, most good farms will get you about 150 to 200k in potential item value. So let's talk super lowball and say that you're averaging only 100k in potential value from your transmogs that you're doing every hour. That's 100k per day, 700k per week, 2.8 mil per month, and 16.8 mil per 6 months. Now in that 6 month time, you can usually sell high-end transmogs within 6 months. Those are going to be your hardest sales. So obviously your lower end transmogs will more than likely sell as well. But to be on the safe side, let's just say that during that 6 months, you only sell half of what you actually got, which means that you're still looking at 8.4 mil sold, which gives Goblin 2 13.4 mil in 6 months, so a solid 3.4 mil higher. And I know that these are very exaggerated scenarios with these two goblins, but this is really why transmogs are such a great long-term investment. A lot of them have really high prices due to less people wanting to farm them. But now let's talk about one thing that is a lot more realistic, especially with how people come in and out of playing the game consistently. So let's say after those 6 months, you take the two goblins after they've been super consistent every single day farming 2 hours or more, and then wouldn't you know it, they start losing some motivation in the game and they take a 6 month quote-unquote break. They only log in to do dailies, do a couple of dungeons if they want, but they really don't focus much on the gold making aspect. They don't do any new farms, they don't do any more gathering, they just try and sell items that they still have or don't do it at all. So now with no farming, Goblin number 1 is stuck pretty much making no gold because all their gold was coming in from direct time traded for gold. But Goblin 2 is listing all the rest of those unsold items for the next 6 months without having to do anything, and say it takes them another 6 months to sell. That means that they just have another 6 months with 8.4 mil value coming in. But let's take it even further and say they only get half of that. That's 4.2 mil over the next 6 months for literally doing nothing but logging in, relisting, and logging back out. This is why a solid foundation in transmog farming and setting really realistic expectations can benefit you so much in the long run. And that's why if you use my TSM setup or vendoring items, it helps you cull the items that are low sell rate and low historical value so that you don't even worry about those items, so that you're only keeping the items that have faster sell rate and higher value. And on top of that, you're also using all the things to help you cull the other ones out that are sharing appearances with cheaper items. So now that you've put yourself in that mindset and you're ready to get into transmog farming, now, as promised, let's talk about a couple of my favorite starting transmog farms. Each of these farms have a great variety of low-end, middle, and high-end transmogs that sell very, very well. First off, we have the Crimson Whelp farm. This farm is over in the wetlands, and you can check it out on my video here. I sat here and farmed for 10 hours during that video for the Crimson Whelpling pet. But this farm is also great for giving you a high amount of low-end, medium transmogs with a lot of items also between 1 and 6k, and then there's also plenty of items that drop here that are 5 to to 10k. So this is a great starting place to get you some medium to low end transmogs that have faster sell rates. Now the next spot is Desolace. Now this spot is a great spot because it has a lot more solid middle range transmogs running 5k and up. If you run a druid on this farm, it's also very easy. You can check out my guide here on the spot as well. And then finally we have Saltstone Cave. This is a great starting point with some high-end transmogs, speed steel rapier, saltstone set, and then a bunch of epics. This route is super easy to run on a druid or any other class and will get you set up on any server. We did this on stream the other night with a couple of people from Discord, and I got 260k plus potential item value from the transmogs during the hour and a half that we were there. And that's all while using the region historical price, which is much lower than what's normally used. And guys, that is really it. If you use these 3 spots, spend a couple hours each week or even an hour a week stockpiling and over time working on building your transmog bank, you'll set yourself up for the long run. And that's going to be it for this guide, guys. If you haven't already, make sure that you join the Discord, follow me on Twitch. We stream every Monday 8:30 p.m. Central. And if you're interested in my complete TSM vanilla transmog profile, then come support me on Patreon. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please comment, like, and subscribe down below, and I will see you all in the next video.